quick, so can't complain.
But I'm going live. I'm just going live. Let me just sort this out, and then I'm going to share it. You know what this is all like. Hold on, this is setting up, redirecting to YouTube. Let me just shut this down, and then I'm going to share it. Shut that down. I'm going to share it. Oh, God. You know what this is all like. Hold on, this is setting up. Right. I'm going to just carry on. I'm just going to share it on my Facebook, like I do. So your channel. Let me share this. Copy link. I'll share. Copy link. It's like every time I have to do this, it never gets any easier. I don't know why. Right, paste. Okay, post this. Post. And then...
What's the weather like in the UK, Aaron?
It's raining on and off. It's just really, it's been wet.
Wet and
It's
windy,
really wet.
I've been told, but it's raining here today for the first time for a long time. So
posted. I've got my heating on. I've actually got my...
Really?
Well, yeah.
Gosh.
It's actually sunny out, but I'm going to turn it off now, otherwise I'm going to melt. We're sharing. Sharing is caring. Right, that's
right.
Good morning, world. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning. Good morning, you gorgeous faces that I've got in front of me right now. I'm a lucky girl. I'm absolutely...
Good morning.
Oh, it's so good to be with you yet again. What a week. What a week. It just doesn't seem to like... I don't know. I'm open to so many things and it's all coming through. So I'm very grateful for that. So today, for our NLP chats, hope everyone else out there has had a lovely week as well. And I was thinking about what we could talk about. So I thought we could have a general chat about just everything, really, just about how we've been going through things, what we've been experiencing, any challenges and things like that. And also a general chat about the confidence that we have now about going back into the outside world. Because this week, I was so blessed to be asked to do a podcast with The Telegraph, and it was incredible. It involved me going out of my home environment and going into London. And I'm not the best at travelling on trains at the best of times anyway, right? But I was willing to do it just so that I could do what I wanted to do. So that was my intention. My intention was, whatever I need to do, I have to do it to get to what my outcome is. So that was my intention. So, but I didn't really want to get the train because I don't like trains at the best of times anyway. But I think that's also to do with, I don't like the fear of being trapped in an enclosed space at all. And that goes back to when I was younger as well. So that is something that I can work on. Although I will go on a train, but I choose not to if I don't have to, just out of my own personal choice, just because of that enclosed feeling that I don't like, basically. So I chose that, okay, I was going to get the train. My intention was I was going to drive to the nearest train station, park my car, because I can't get a train from where I live. I live in the countryside a little bit. So I had to drive somewhere, get the train and then go. But inside, I didn't really want to get the train. So anyway, so I got in my car, as you do, bit apprehensive because I didn't know what was coming up and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was enjoying it. I was going with the flow. But what was knocking me off balance a bit was the whole train, the journey. It was the journey to get there. So I got in the car and I went to the first station and there were roadworks and there was nowhere to park. So I thought, okay, because bear in mind I was on a time limit as well. I had to get there a certain time. I left lots of time. I left like 2.5 hours to get there into London. It's only an hour journey. So I thought I'll leave time, get there and then just relax and then go into my meeting. So anyway, so I got into the car, went there, first station blocked. So I thought, okay. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, maybe I'll just drive on the central line even closer so that I only have to get one train and not have to do any forks, you know, so I could get to the central line without any forks. So it's quicker on the tube, get off and then I'll do 15-minute walk at the other end. So I thought, okay, so it's just one thing that I have to do. So I thought, okay, I'll do that. So I drove up and I drove to Leytonstone or Leighton, wherever, I think it was Leytonstone. So I thought that's on the main central line. So I drove there And I got there and there was all bus replacement services for the trains, right? So bear in mind the time's ticking on. And I'm thinking, now that's not good because I don't want to get a bus and there's nowhere to park and it will take me longer. So, okay, I'll try driving back to South Woodford because Woodford's got its own Central Line station. Okay, so I drove back all the way back towards my house, got to South Woodford station, found a parking space, pulled in, but it was only a 2-hour parking space and there was no other parking spaces. And I thought to myself, well, I can't because I'm going to be over 2 hours. I'm going to be like 4 or 5 hours. I don't want to get a ticket. So I then made the decision, which actually felt right to me. I thought, I'm going to drive into London. And yes, there were charges and yes, there were costs, but I felt comfortable. And it was like, as soon as I made that decision, my mindset changed. It was like all the blocks just started opening up. Thank you. And I drove in. And I drove into Plan A, which was, well, Plan B actually, because it was meant to be the train. But I drove into, and I parked in Chinatown in the Q Park. So I knew I was going to park there. Yes, it was going to be more expensive, but my car was safe and I had to pay congestion, but it was £15. So I knew that I'd be on time. I knew that my car was safe and I knew that I wouldn't be stressed because not being stressed was much more important to me than saving, I don't know, 50 quid maybe, which probably would have been. So I made that decision because I do believe that money is energy as well. So I really believe that where energy flows, it goes kind of thing. So that was my decision. So I went there, I parked, I got out and I went and I sat in so this was it. So it's embracing the outside world again, right? So I got there and I parked, very normal, parked my car, got out, walked for 10 minutes just into where Soho Radio was. And I was very early, like about 45 minutes early. So I thought I'll sit outside. I had a cup of tea and I had some eggs and I had some smoked salmon, as you do, because like gluten-free. These are the challenges. So I sat there and I sat outside and had some eggs and smoked salmon. And I just watched the world go by and it was really beautiful. And it felt very normal and I felt comfortable. And I was like, okay. So I was calm. I was just getting into my zone. And then it was time for my meeting. So I went into the Soho Radio and it was beautifully done, socially distanced. So you walked in there and there's a perspex screen. There was 3 people. It was a beautiful building with all sofas, like socially distanced sofas. There was a sanitizers station right at the desk, which was a water and a soap one, right? Like very clever, a metal thing that you just press the pedal and the water comes out and it was like lovely. So I did that and sat down for a minute and the people had the masks on, but only put it on when I went in there, obviously. And then I sat down and then they took it off and we were socially distanced and we were just chatting about how wonderful it was that the whole place was done so well. And then my interviewer came and he was lovely. Now, the weird thing was that you couldn't shake hands and you couldn't do what was normal, like whatever my normal was. It was different in that way. But facially, you can tell by expression. And this is the thing as well. It's very important to me, facial, because when you have a mask on your face, it's cutting off your connection a lot in a way. You can see through your eyes, you can see that, but your body language is so powerful and so important. But he didn't have a mask on. So we went and we just followed each other down the stairs, socially distanced, had a drink. And then we went into the room and it was just lovely. And before I used to have, it was thanks to you, Kate and Aron, who are 2 incredible NLP therapists that Kate's with us today, right? So, and yeah, Aron's here, but this is a different Aron. And I used to have a problem that I had sometimes in a situation of an interview or in a studio situation or in a record situation. Sometimes I got a red light that used to just focus on me and it used to kind of like disrupt me and stop me because it felt like I was almost being interrogated. And I think that went back to school days from when in like exams or something from my school days where I was interrogated and I didn't know the answer and I felt all those things that you didn't want to feel. So I think it just carried through my life. And anyway, we sat there and a few days before that meeting and Kate, we sat, didn't we? And Kate reframed that for me and looked through the eyes of perspective. So when I go on stage in my urban cookie in front of thousands of people, all I feel is joy, connection and happiness, and a white light just shining down, which shines through and out to everybody. So it's like a flow, a connection, and it's so beautiful, and it's so important to me, that connection. And there's nothing stopping me. And for the people that want to join in my connection, that's a beautiful thing. You can. And for the people that don't want to join, that's perfectly okay too. It doesn't affect me in the slightest, because I will share what I can with everyone that wants to connect. But with the red light on, it was like there was a filter that had been put over that white light. So Kate just basically turned around and said, well, what if you just throw that filter away and you make it that white light that just connects you, and that it's not an interrogator, and you look through the eyes of the, Kate, you said this, you look through the eyes of the interviewer and what's he actually feeling? What's he actually thinking? And when you look at that perspective, it's a sharing of knowledge. It is a connection, and it's not an interrogation. And as soon as my mindset kind of just changed at that point, that's what happened. So in my interview, I was just me, and there was no red light. It was like a white light was just shining in the whole room, surrounding us. It was a beautiful thing, and through the microphone and just going through all the wires out into the homes of all the people, exactly like you suggested, Kate. And it was such a different experience. So perspective was massively to thank for that as well. And so my interview went really well, and it was a flow. And I came out and I felt buzzing and elated and calm and just all those beautiful things. And like I'd made a connection, and many connections, and that I had found a way to be able to help and share. It was such a beautiful thing. And I felt open. And then I met my friend Rosala, who I hadn't seen for months, okay, because we worked together. Rosala's the singer for Everybody's Free, you know, that 90s dance flipping anthem. That she's just an incredible, beautiful person as well. And I've really missed my 90s family too. And I've got my NLP family, and I'm like forever grateful, like for you guys have just, well, pulled me through just this challenging time. Togetherness, just making it real, and making it all using perspective and just coming to terms with a new normal, with a new now, what is real right now. But when I saw Rosala, it was like everything was just like normal. And yes, we gave each other a hug, which you're not technically meant to do, but do you know what? There's the risk. We chose it. We hugged, and it was just a beautiful thing. And I didn't want to let her go. It was like this just hug, and it's just such a beautiful thing. And then we sat down and we had lunch, and we just chatted for an hour. And then after that, I went back to the car, and I got in the car and I drive home, and there was no traffic and there was no train stopping. And it took Rosala, God bless her, it took her like 3 hours to get home to Surrey because all the trains had been disrupted. So I was so grateful for the fact that I'd chosen that. Well, it really had chosen me. It was choosing me, and I just went with the blocks, and I followed the flow. So that was a whole world of newness in one day, and openness. And rather than focusing on what I couldn't do, I really started to focus on what I could do and what was important to me in that new normal, and what was important to me in my greater scheme of things in my life as a whole. And I think that to me was it was like unlocking a little door, because it was a beautiful experience, and it could have been very different, you know, it could have been very different, but I kind of followed those signs, and I followed the flow, and I let it just flow, and it came back tenfold, and I'm very grateful to everything that helped me in that situation. So finding the confidence to return to the outside world for me was like almost an acceptance and a trust of being open to do that, for a start, and secondly being open to follow that flow. If there's a block, then look at that block and notice it. Don't fight that block. Don't fight against the flow. Just go with what feels natural. Keep present, keep finding my focus. I kept finding my focus, kept finding presence, and anything that could have been viewed in fear technique, I kind of turned it into a positive and into an excitement and into a connection. Does that make sense? Everything that I've just said. I'm kind of going with the flow, as you know.
Perfect sense.
Oh, good. So to me, that was really important. So that was my first real steps about taking a step in towards new normal, the normality, and it felt good. So I know that people everywhere, all over this world, are experiencing those blocks. And I saw them as a physical block, as in the trains weren't running or the roadworks were there. So they were physically in front of my eyes. It was the universe or whatever it may be blocking. So, but some people have experienced this internally, internal blocks, because of the fear that they're trapped in there, that they're trapped, although they may not feel trapped, they may be feeling safe in their place. But is that happiness? Are they being stopped from achieving what they really want to achieve by fear? And I kind of like wanted to focus on both of that, fear and confidence. So can I open it up to talk? Who'd like to go first? Should we go?
Yeah.
Aaron?
I can go first. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darling.
First of all, it was just great listening to your story alone. It was already worth joining you both.
I
it was just
so much.
Yeah. I just love the way you were navigating through these blocks and in the flow and yeah, it just energized me somehow. I don't know. That was really good. Thank you.
That's the aim.
Yeah, and also liked when you made a decision. You found yourself against the blocks, and you could have interpreted those as oh damn, I'm gonna miss it, and then paint the worst case scenarios. But no, you had a personal choice to overcome that, and you chose the flow, and you just went with the flow, and you made a decision in your mind, and then you found all the resources to make it a reality, to make it to the show and to have a good time and share. So the mindset is so important. A lot of times, we are in our comfort zone and because of fear, but it's funny how when you make that decision, somehow you find the resources and what's the word I'm looking for? It's just you find the tools and you find the people that will help you to make it the way you want it. It's just a quick story. I've been doing my running for a year now, just to bump up my cardio, and it took me quite a few months. Before, my cardio was really bad, and I was patient with myself, so I went up to 4K, and up until now I thought, I can't do any more than 4K, and it was in my mind. On my usual route, when I kind of come back to the house, I kept thinking, I can't do the extra lap, I can't do it. And then yesterday I thought, what if I just decide that I can do it? Let's see what happens. So I kind of experimented with it, and I just went straight on, and it wasn't even hard. So I did it, and it's just, I thought to myself, I just made that decision in my mind, and then my body followed suit. Yeah, I found the energy. So
Good.
It's just a quick example of what the mind is capable of.
Absolutely.
And I had the fear before that I wouldn't be able to make it. I would be out of breath. And this goes for all aspects of our lives, pretty much. And, talking about fear, I think it's important to recalibrate this belief of growth and comfort zone. I have a note from this week, and it says, "There's no such thing as comfortable growth. Embrace discomfort." It's just my little, power note. And do something bolder than usual.
Yeah.
So, and
yes.
yeah, look forward to stretching yourself to learn more, because
Yes.
when you decide to stretch yourself a little bit, could be any aspect of your life, you overcome the fear, because once you've done it, you realize that, oh, this was it. Well, I did it. Whether you made a mistake or didn't make a mistake, there is growth, there's learning, and you build on it. So it could be fear of social interaction, could be fear of being rejected. It's a constant stretching yourself and putting you out there. And this could be, I found a really good tool in a book that covers CBT. Quite interested in that. And it's an experiment you can make. So you have something you fear, and you put it down in the first column. The second column, how that makes you feel. So what emotions come out.
Right.
And then the third one, your test, your experiment. How you gonna, put yourself in that situation to see what happens. And then the fourth is the outcome. And how did you feel? What was the outcome? The emotions. And whatever the outcome is, you've actually done it. So it's a win-win. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
It's just a little tool I wanted to share.
I like that. I really like that. And it's like, it's the resources that you've got around you as well. Like, because Kate, you were a massive part of my resources to get to where I got to. And it's not being afraid of being vulnerable and asking for help, because I think we put on, apart from the physical masks we put on it on a daily basis to go to the shops or whatever it may be, we put on a mask sometimes that we are invulnerable and we can do anything and everything, and we put on a mask that maybe that we're something that we're not. But everybody's human, and when you chunk up from that, we are human, and humans are vulnerable, and that's part of the human magic. So when you can ask from all the resources that you have around you, whether it be friends or family or the internet or self-help books or whatever it may be, or YouTube, whatever it may be, when you are researching and looking and asking for help and allowing your vulnerability to flow, that's when you can actually grow and your mindset can change. So Kate, you're a massive part of that resource for me and for the future.
Yeah, and the fact is you were resourceful enough to ask that help, and that was the key.
Yes.
Just asking.
It is challenging. It is challenging to ask help from people when, like when
especially when you're doing this sort of work and you think, well, I should know all the answers because I'm helping others with this stuff, so I shouldn't be feeling this way. And then you start all the judgments, don't you, in your head, and everything starts to become even more of a big monster that you can't actually face. And so just being that vulnerable and saying, yeah, okay, I don't have all the answers, can you help?
That's right. And it was a something inside me that needed to shift.
Yeah.
To get through to the place where I got to and where I am right now, which is just an openness and a learning, just continually learning. Yeah.
But part of that was then the first step was just being aware that you needed that support and that help, or there was this one thing you wanted to shift, and being able to understand that about yourself is the first critical step, isn't it? That a lot of people are living in a kind of, like you say, in this sort of box, and they don't even realize they're stuck in there. No. And so the first step is just realizing that you're there, and usually you get messages, don't you? Some sort of symptom, something in your head's not, you know, is sort of telling you there's a problem, or you've got a pain in your body, or there's something that, and you know something needs to shift. But some people suppress that, and that was me back in the day, when I would just suppress everything and just keep going anyway, and no matter what, just being driven by these parts of me that I had no control over. And so if you're good at suppressing, then you tend to actually have a really big wake-up call, like something massive happens, and then you have to stop because your body just can't take it anymore, and it will just say, right, okay, stop, which it did to me. And then I had to listen and make some changes. And it's hard to, even then, it's hard to ask for help and hard to reach out. And it's easy to go to the doctor and get a pill or whatever and numb it all away even more. But just to get to the root cause, do that deep work, that sort of, they call the shadow work, the stuff that's, okay, what is lurking in there that really wants us to come out? And that's where fear lives, in that place, that dark place. And it's just probably a scared little child, a younger you, just crying for help in the dark. But it sounds like this scary monster. You know, you don't want to go there, and you don't want to feel that feeling anymore. You don't want to go in there and feel it again. That's the last thing you want. So it takes a lot of courage to do the work too, to actually say, I'm going to do that extra K, you know, when I'm running. You know, there is an element of, you know, courage to say, okay, I'm going to just do this, because your why, I guess your why is bigger than the fear of not doing it. You actually want to do it more. So building up that why is also very important. Knowing, why do I want this? You know, why did you want to make a great impression and do this podcast? It was because you wanted to share your message with everybody and help people. So that why was bigger than the fear. And you were able to take that red filter off and just throw it away. You didn't need that, because you found your why, and you tuned into that love, that part of your heart that you just wanted to share out to everyone, which was that beautiful light that you had, and you have, and you just share it everywhere. So why deny people? Almost being selfish by denying that to people.
Yeah.
And so when you make it bigger than you, then it becomes easier to get over that hump of, you know, that extra K on the run, or, you know, sit down and write for an hour because, you know, you need to do something, or make that awkward phone call, or bring up that awkward thing you don't want to, but you need to stand up for yourself in some way, you know, whatever it might be. Then finding your why is always a good one. And then also just then allowing fear and feeling fear, because fear is just a feeling, it's energy that's stuck. So you want that energy back.
That's right.
It takes up a lot of energy, fear, and all these voices and critical voices and all this sort of stuff. It takes up so much of our energy. And the more you can just allow them to say what they want to say and kind of feel what they're feeling, and then, like for you, you could put that beautiful light onto them and say, you know, join me in the light, come and join me here, come in and sit, have a cup of tea, you know, this sort of thing. And the more they feel accepted, the more they want to be in that light too. They want that love, they want that openness. They don't want to be trapped inside this tight space. They're suffering too. So when that fear gets the chance to be in the light and feels a bit of that warmth, then, hey, I'd much rather be there. And then it kind of just melts away.
Yeah.
And so the more you can invite all these uncomfortable feelings that we don't want to feel, we invite them in, then we can change them. Or we don't even change them. There's no effort. They change themselves. Yeah. And then they release their energy, and then you've got even more light. And then it's like an upward spiral. It's wonderful. And the more you can do that, and it's a skill we all need to learn. And like you say, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to go into those dark places, and you have to be open to whatever comes, and really have a big why you want to do it in the first place. You know, because you want more for yourself, or you want to feel better, or you just want the pain to go away, or maybe you want to be able to give more to your children, or whatever it is, you know, your big why. Then finding that, then you find the energy to do it. Like for you, had to find a way into London by a certain time, so you had a big why, and then you came up with all these obstacles, but you just flowed past them because you needed to get there, and you did it without the fear. You just said, okay, you accepted what came, like an uncomfortable feeling, you accept it, and then you come back to a relaxed space. And when you're in that relaxed space, then you can make good decisions, creative decisions. Okay, now I'm in this situation. What do I do now? Okay, just breathe, relax. What's the best thing to do now? And who's best beside me now? Which feeling do I want now? Do I want fear, or do I really need determination right now? Or do I need my creative mind to come up with a solution? And who do I want to invite next to me, and who can go and sit at the back of the bus, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's all about, it's relaxing, isn't it? It's accepting what comes. Okay, there's a roadblock. No point beating myself up about it or blaming everyone else. It's a case of saying, well, what do I need now? I need resourcefulness. Okay, so let's just breathe. What do I do? And then you just tap into those resources, which we all have inside of us. It's like, I didn't do anything for you a few days ago. You did it for yourself. You already had that resource in there. It was just, you just needed a different perspective to take that filter off. And that was all there was to it. You already had that.
The visualization is very powerful. And not only in self-visualization, but also in visualization of a subject that you're doing, or like a situation that you're in. If you can visualize yourself successful, calm, confident, and being how you wish to be in that situation, you will achieve that. You really will. And any blocks that are along the way, because it's very rare that you can go A to B without going round a few bends. It's very rare. And that's okay, because that's life. And that's what adds to the beauty of life and the journey of life, is those roads, those bends, and the ability to be able to be bouncing off of it like water, you know, like water off of a waterfall. It's going to go from the top down to the bottom into the water. But there's about 1 million stones and rocks that they're going to jump across. And that's not going to stop it, because it's going to get from there to there. But along the way, they're just going to jump all the way down, and they'll get there. And it's just being open to the fact that we are the flow. We are that water. We are on our little paths of life, and whatever's coming out at us is also teaching us as well. And the more we recognize that as well, the more we recognize those blocks, and not seeing doom and gloom, but just seeing them as something to just go through or round or navigate around. The more you do that, the easier it becomes.
I see that as it's a practice, as an opportunity to practice that thing of welcoming in these feelings and accepting them and relaxing. Right, this is now a real challenge for me. Now I'm gonna learn now. I'm gonna practice my just breathe and relax enough so I can now choose who I want to be driving now. You know, do I want fear driving the bus, or am I going to invite creative Kate to come along and come up with a solution to this? Or do I need determined Kate, who's just going to sort of keep going, even though it's a bit painful at the moment? You know, whatever it might be, then as you say, and as soon as you relax, you can flow past. But you know, my want in the past was come up, there's an obstacle, and I'll be bashing my way through it. I'll be weapons, whacking it. I'd be bashing my head against it, whatever it took. Eventually I would go through it, but the damage to me was crazy. Whereas if you just relax, you can flow past it. And then eventually, that as you flow past, those obstacles just get worn away by the action of you flowing past them. Yeah. And they go, and then they're not there anymore. Instead of like, otherwise it's still there. You know, you just bashed away through, but you know, then it might cave in on top of you. No idea what's going to happen.
God, I just love that. Do you know what? I'm thinking of that analogy now of the river, and like a river flowing, and it's just wearing those, going around those stones, and it's just wearing them away. Or the sand on a beach, and the rocks are really hard, and then the beach just relentlessly keeps going, and eventually they're smooth and there's no resistance. Because we are the same material, the same particles as everything out there. You know, we're made of the same things, the same energy, the same matter. And so if we can be that water, we can be that flow, we can be that smoothness. And it's only just mindset and recognizing that what's out there is greater than the forces that try and force through it. You know, if you just accept things and flow with them, then it's just that journey of life makes it a little bit more nicer to go through, I think.
Like you're saying, it is like the corners, the edges get worn smooth, so life is just a bit easier to travel. But then there are also times when you shouldn't accept what's happening, you know, and but make good choices for yourself, and being aware and saying, no, this, you know, I'm going to set boundaries here. I'm not, this isn't. And sometimes you need to put something up and say, no, this isn't good enough.
Yes, you have to stay true to who you are. You have to always.
And taking care of yourself, instead of, sometimes people are too easy to go with the flow, and then they're almost denying their own needs. And sometimes they need to stand up and say, actually, no, I'm going to take a stand for this, and this is for me, this is it. And I, you know, and you have no right to talk to me in that way. And so, and you're setting up boundaries then you're protecting yourself, but not so much that you're so enclosed in this tight, you know, you put up all these walls and now you're in a prison, you know. So there's always a balance, isn't there? And it's finding that, and resistance is, like you're saying, resistance is suffering. All suffering is resistance to something. And the more that you're less resisting something, like even pain, if you don't resist the pain, it's usually most of the suffering is around what you think about the pain than the pain itself. And a lot of people that are in chronic pain can reduce the effect of the pain on them by learning to accept the pain and not judge the pain. And that's the same with all feelings. Accept, you know, relax into it, accept it for what it is. And then sometimes it just disappears, or other times it just becomes bearable now. And other times you've got to say, no, I'm not accepting this pain. This is coming from somewhere that I can control this, and this needs to stop. And so I'm not going to accept this in my life, and I'm going to change it.
Yes.
And then you have to get resourceful, don't you, and reach out, and who can help you with that.
Yeah, I've read that before, that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. I like that.
I like that. That's great. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Because it's funny you said about pain, because it was also something that was quite big in my on my field of things that I wanted to talk about as it goes, and I never said it, and you just said it right now. So it's a really, that's the flow. That is the flow. We were kind of like all picking up on everything that's going on anyway, because pain, I wonder if there's a way that you can actually look at pain and see it as a friend rather than a foe. If it can be a heat rather than your brain thinking of it as something to avoid, maybe it's something that your brain can tune into. And like, what is that pain? What exactly does it make you feel? Where is that pain making you feel it? Is it just in the place where you think it is? Or is that pain being felt anywhere else in the body? And if it's felt anywhere else in the body, tuning into that and finding, is there a warmth in it? Is there something that maybe you can look at and attract from that, and to see if it's even movable, or if you can talk to the pain and you know, instead of pushing it away, sitting with it and like accepting it and understanding it, and understanding that pain, understanding that we are human, we are subject to aches and pains and different things that we can go through. But what's the root cause? Was there a time when it started? What happened when it started? If it's about now and it's just wear and tear on your body, what changes can you make in your lifestyle that will maybe change that, but it will still get to your final outcome? You know, maybe if there's changes, different ways of looking at that pain, maybe it's directing you onto a different route to help others with those pains. I mean, I'm just spouting stuff out.
These are techniques that we use, aren't they? It's like we talk about submodalities, what are the submodalities of the pain? You know, what shape is it? What color is it? Where is it? Is it moving? Are there any sounds coming from it? Can it talk and try and talk to the pain? And then can you move it? What happens if you take the color out? What's underneath? And all these sort of things that we do. And then asking your body, well, what do you want to say? You know,
Yeah.
And what do you need from me? What else do you need? Because I mean, I talk to my body a lot, because I had the opposite of pain. For me, it's a numbness I get when I'm stressed. And it was a really terrible numbness for a while in my 20s, and really debilitating for a while. So for me, it was not feeling. I was shutting down things. I couldn't feel anything, and that was more scary than pain any day. So for me, pain, I love pain now, because if I get pain, at least I can feel, and so I celebrate pain. But it was, I think it is key to be able to just say, well, what is going on there? And we know that people trap emotions in their body, and that causes pain. And things from the past are stuck there, and releasing that can do a lot for pain. So there's a story there somewhere sometimes, or sometimes it's just a message for now. There's something going on in your life and you're not saying something, and so your body's sending pain. This emotion, I need to let it out. I can't hold on to this anymore. And so I think pain is just like any uncomfortable feeling. It's something, it's a message. It's like an alarm going off, and the more you ignore it, the sort of more louder it gets, until you actually sit with it and say, okay, what's this about? And if you don't resist it, because then you're saying it's bad. If you resist something, you're just judging it as bad, aren't you?
Yeah.
So then you're saying, okay, well, okay, I'm not resisting you, because if I judge it as bad, then I'm pushing it away. It's going to just make it louder, scream louder in the corner.
Yeah.
Or I could just listen to it and see what it has to say and befriend it.
Yeah.
Because the more you resist it, as Aron said, then you get the suffering. Because we know also that there have been scientific studies. Stress is not stressful. Stress is not, and even body stress, pain is not stressful. It's not the pain. It's all the thoughts around the pain. It's all the thoughts around the feeling. It's like, I shouldn't be this way. I shouldn't feel like this. It's bad to do this or do that. And so all the judgments that we make, and all the critical voices that are in our head telling us that this is how we should do it or mustn't do, or so and so shouldn't have done this, or they should have done this. And it's all the resistance to how things are. If you could just let things be, which is like the essence of mindfulness, isn't it? Just sit and be and allow everything to be. If you can come from that place, and then the resistance is gone, and then you just see what's true about this. What's true about this pain? And ask it. And that's where I got really good at just asking my body. And so now, I mean, what did I do yesterday? I walked into something, really hurt my leg. And I was like, at first I was like, oh, you stupid, what have you done? You hurt your leg. So, and I was beating myself up. And I thought, okay, stop. This is just pain. Okay. Hello, pain. Thank you. Thanks for the message. I know I did something stupid, but thanks. And the pain just went immediately. It was just gone. I was able to, because I just said thank you to my body, and that's all it needed to know. The pain, and it could, I've got a big bruise now, but as long as no one presses it, I'm okay.
Who would do that to you, Kate?
But it's a skill that we can all learn, is how just tune into our bodies. That it's part of us. We see our body as this thing that just carries our head around, but it's not. It's just, we're all just one thing, one being that is also connected to this energy that is life. And so we have unlimited healing power that we can draw from. And if we get out of our way, we can heal. And we know how the placebo effect works. Like, if you believe you can do that extra K, Aron, you can do that extra K.
When you get to, Aron, when you get to that point of the pain, when you're doing your running, or there's that burn, or that mindset, that point where you think to yourself, oh, I could just stop now, whatever, that point of pain, what do you do how do you see things?
Yeah, I try to, sometimes I just give in, and I say, oh, this is as much as I can do, and I can't do more. But some other times I realize that it's just my thoughts, really. What Kate was just saying, that your thoughts control the pain and control everything. So, which was why it was an interesting experiment the other day, although I've done it, loads of times in my past, but we tend to bounce back to these blocks, and we're never going to be able to get all of our fears in our lives, because we're not supposed to. it's just really having that balance, right, and continue to grow. But yeah, it's it really just talking to myself.
Yeah.
And kind of what I tend to do is I kind of play as if,
Yeah.
oh, it's just so, okay, I can't believe it's so easy, and it's just going. I'm not even out of breath, and I'm trying to fool myself almost. That works.
And goals, maybe little goals along the way, like when
Yeah.
you're there, look what you've achieved. Rather,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do reflection to
bet.
empower myself. Yeah. Oh, that I've come a long way since last year when I couldn't even run a mile.
Amazing.
So well, that's amazing, and oh, keep going, and just really talking to myself and empowering self-talk, and it changes my direction, as Kate just mentioned. You change your state, your thoughts, and the pain is gone.
Amazing.
And that's just incredible.
Oh gosh, I love it.
But yeah, I love what both of you had said about the pain and the different perspectives and how you look at it, and whether you look at it as suffering or you look at it as guidance. It's guiding you. It's your body intelligence and
the block.
Yeah, the block, and you kind of use it as a tool to discover your inner resources and how can I change it? How can I experiment with it?
Amazing.
And yeah, we go back to curiosity again.
I love that word.
That's just so good when you become, because a lot of people will say, yeah, but how do I do that? How do I? And what I found is when I become curious and kind of excited, I'm excited to find out how I could make a difference, or what the outcome will be if I do try this. I'm so excited to see that. You elevate yourself, because when you're excited, you're embracing those positive emotions.
Yes.
And somehow you trick your mind. These little things, and sometimes nothing seems to work, and that's okay. I find myself that I know a whole bunch of tools, and yet sometimes nothing seems to work. And everybody is allowed to feel that way, because we're human. So anybody watching and say, oh, it's lucky you know all these tools. No, a lot of times, I guess it goes for all of us. We just don't know how to do it, but we remain curious and experiment, because something will click. If you keep trying, something will click.
That's very true. Yeah. And I always think as well, with a challenging situation, with confidence as to the outside world, and going back to that, it's like, what if you don't do it? If you don't do it, how will you feel? Are you going to allow something that you so want in your world, in your life, your gift of life? Are you going to allow something that's a fear-based attraction where you don't know what's going to happen? Are you going to allow that to stop you from doing something you truly, truly want to do? And if you do that, what are you going to think about it? What if you don't do it? What are you going to feel? Are you going to feel worse down the line if you don't do it than if you do it? And recognizing and celebrating and that you are resilient, and that you've done this maybe 50 million times before in your life, and it's just a little bit of a different scenario. And this time, it's in your mind, you're blowing up maybe bigger than what it needs to be, and you will get through it. It's just perspective, and it's just trust. And what if you don't do it?
That's my question. Yeah, I mean, when we celebrate something, it's because it was hard to do, and we celebrate when it's done. Yeah. So it is the like Aron was saying, it's the stretching, isn't it? It's growing. I think there are two things to growth for me. There's one where you grow into yourself, into your own skin, and feel yourself really fully, yourself whole. And then once you get to that point, then you can start stretching, and stretch it further. And maybe some people just like to stop there, but because they feel okay, and they don't want to do anything more than that. But other people want to take more challenges and do more, and sort of see what else they can do in life beyond that, and taking those challenges. And then I always look to, how am I going to feel at the end of my life on that last day when I'm looking back over my life? Am I going to be saying, you know, did I live? Did I really live? And then, or did I give? And did I give all I could have given? I mean, not from a pushing yourself to you're sort of absolutely knackered, but more of a, did I make the best use of my time here? And did I contribute something in my small way? Whatever that might be. For some people, it's, you know, having a family and bringing up children, and for some people, it's I've got to write this book of this thing that I've discovered I want to share with the world. Or for some people, it's to paint this painting, and for others, it's just to keep a beautiful garden, or whatever it is, or just to provide for your family with a job, or whatever it might be. It may be anything, but whatever's meaningful to you. And to me, it's like, what if you don't? I think you all tend to regret, when you look back, things you didn't try than the things you did and failed, because at least you tried.
Yeah.
And I know I beat myself up most is when I wimp out on something, and when I don't do something. And I feel so good when I pick up the phone and make that awkward call, or whatever it is. And I feel so good about myself after doing it, because it's a growth, isn't it? So you are, every time you do it, you're growing, you're knowing. So now I know I can do 5K or whatever it is. So now I know I can do a podcast, and it's just, everything flows, and you kind of like, you've got it under your belt. It's there now. I've got it. And so what's next?
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And I love feeling that way. And it's a great feeling it's a very powerful feeling just to know. And I think fear is about, and lack of confidence is all about thinking maybe I won't cope with this challenge, and I don't know what's going to happen, and maybe I won't cope. And I think that's what fear and lack of confidence is. Whereas confidence is, I'm scared, but I think I can cope. Yeah. And it's just the bit feeling that you'll be able to cope. And just the more you do things and try things that are scary, the more you realize, yeah, I can cope. It doesn't matter what life throws at me, I'll just get on with it. And that's what confidence is. We don't get any easier lives. Confident people still have all the same challenges. It's just they think, well, I'll do it, I'll work it out. Yeah. Because it's never as scary, is it? It's never as scary when you're doing it as the thoughts you had beforehand. The monster in the cupboard is never there. You open the cupboard, oh, it wasn't there. It's not as scary as I thought it'd be.
That's right. It's only as scary as if you don't go from your authentic self. So, like for me, he said to me in the interview, before the interview, he goes, how do you feel when you go before you go on stage? He goes, aren't you scared of anything? And he goes, because obviously people live their lives with fear every day. I said, I fear so many things in my life. Like every day I get new challenges thrown at me that scare the living daylights out of me. But I approach it from a mindset of, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to turn that fear into something different and just come from a place of me. And just give what I can. And it's okay not to know all the answers. It's okay to be me. It's okay that I'm not a multi-degreed psychologist, because I'm not. I'm just me. But I do have life experience. I have a lot of life experience, and I do have my NLP master qualifications and my other qualifications that allow me to have the tools to be able to help others in a diligent way. So I can't be anything that I'm not. I can't. But I can be me. And if people get value out of me, then that's why I'm here doing it. And if people don't get value out of me, that's fine too. That's fine. And they'll find their place where they get value, because we're all different. And that's the beauty of it. We all have our own different lives. We are unique. We're writing our own unique books. And we're in charge of our storylines. We see the world differently, every one of us. So we can celebrate that. We can celebrate how we see the world. And choose how we celebrate the world as well. We can choose how we see the world, through different eyes. So
a great tip I'll just share quickly is celebrating forward. So if you've got something challenging coming ahead, go out and celebrate having done it before you do it. just somehow celebrate the fact, celebrate it now as if it's done. It's like you say, as if I've already run that extra K. Imagine I've already done it, or I did it last week, it's already done. And I'm celebrating now, it's done. And then, because your mind then is like, oh, that's disconnect. Oh, it must have happened. It must have gone okay, great. And then all the fear's gone. When it actually happens, you can't have the fear because you've already done it and it was fine because you've already celebrated it.
That's right.
And celebrating forward is a really cool trick to try.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah. And maybe also not to get hung up on the outcome itself.
That's right.
But just the fact that you've done it. Because that most of us, we get hung up on the outcome, and what if this happens, that causes you to feel certain emotions, and then you won't do it. But yes, what if we just concentrate on just getting it done? And I've done it, I've tried it.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
And getting in the present, that's such the biggest thing, actually, rather than inviting in that anxiety and the fear. When you're feeling those emotions, which are a natural emotion, just to get into the present, focus on your breathing, focus on your now state, and then deciding at that point, what are you fearing, and is it important, and do we really need to fear it? And if we do, then what is it about that we're fearing? And just looking through that through different perspectives. So,
just not pushing the fear away, just allowing, just feeling it and saying, what is this? And then once you do that, then you're in the calmer state. You can get in the now, you can get present, you can just breathe and be. And then, because feeling the fear and allowing it to just flow through you, it flows like everything else. Instead of blocking it, just let it flow through. And then you can make a choice, because you're back to your thinking brain comes back online, then your creative brain, and then you can come up with new solutions. But while you're fighting the fear, all you see is fear, and it just gets stronger. It just fights back.
That's it. Yeah, you're having a fight with yourself, basically.
Just letting go of the resistance to the fear is the key. It's a hard concept maybe, but letting go of the resistance and then flowing.
Just flowing.
And it's repetition, isn't it? It's the more you do it, the more your brain knows that, oh, I've accomplished it, I've tried it, and it becomes automatic. So the more it really requires a lot of repetitions when you overcome these fears. So you do go for that phone call, as Kate mentioned, or extra K, or public speaking, and you put yourself in that situation and you do it anyway. The more you do it, rep. It's like building a muscle. It's just repetition, isn't it?
Practice makes perfect. That's it. That's exactly. I can't believe it's like been an hour. How quick has the hour gone? Seriously. Do you know, when we were talking and I looked at the clock thinking, well, it'd been like 20 minutes, but it was 11:45, and I went, because I never have a clue what we're going to really talk about. I just kind of go with the flow, and it just goes like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
See?
All good conversations are like that.
Yeah, sharing, isn't it? Friday magic, my Friday magic anchors. And hopefully Susanna will be back with us as well next week with a bit of luck. I'm just so grateful that you guys are here. I'm such a lucky.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great sharing with you guys. Yeah, I've learned a lot as well from you both.
Yeah, together.
Yeah, me too. Always.
Right, so on that note, everyone that's watching, please do like, subscribe, and check out everybody's channels as well, because I'm going to list everyone in the description, all their websites, and come and see us if you need anything at all, if we can help you look at anything from perspective. I'm just grateful to be surrounded by like complete wisdom and just different amazing mindsets. Because it all helps, and just don't be fearful ever. You know, there's always someone to reach out to. So I'm wishing everybody on the outside world, Facebook and YouTube, and everyone that will be watching us, universe, when it goes traveling into space somewhere in the radio waves. I'm wishing you all a happy, beautiful weekend, and I'll see you all next Friday, all being well, for another NLP Chats on Friday. And Kate and Aron, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks you both.
Right, I'm going to go off live. Hold on, let me just